Hey, Vernon.
Hey, Dan, how you doing, man?
Good, bud. Wow, you did some changes in here.
A little bit. We've done the best we can to make this as efficient as possible. You probably remember from before, this saw was facing this way, so I was on the end of it.
Yep, I do remember that.
I had all of my power tools on the other side of the building, and what I was finding was, when I was working on something delicate, and I had to make multiple cuts on the table saw over and over and over again, I'm on that side of the bench, and I make a cut, and of course, it's not enough, so you have to thin it down a little more, so then you got to walk all the way around the bench, all the way to the back here, make the cut, all the way back around the bench, all the way down to the end, and try it again multiple times. By the end of the weekend or the day, I was traveling 10 miles worth of walking, so we turned the saw 90 degrees, put the bench here, moved some of the power tools over here so everything is efficient. I can go right from here to the bench. I've got the planer I can bring over here, go through the planer at the same point. I can have this hose transferred to the planer, back to this, it's no problem. When I'm not using the planers, I can take this rolling cart, bring it close to me so that all of this is designed so that I'm not making 1,000 steps and I can finish a project. So with the saw in mind, I make the cut, I'm wrong, I go back over to the saw, one step, and I actually don't have to make 2 steps, I can just do this until I get it correct. Face frames, things like that, etc. So yeah, we've made a ton of changes and we're going to keep making changes.
This bench is a little smaller as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we narrowed the bench up. I got rid of that massive bench that was almost 6.5 feet wide.
Yeah.
So I watched another YouTuber make something on the end of his bench, and he was making a wheel similar to that coin up there, and he stood on the end of his bench, and with one step he was on this side, and then he went back to here, and then he stepped on that side. He didn't have to do what I had to do, where if I wanted to be on this side of the bench and work, I could work here, and then if I needed to get to the other side of the project, I had to push the project across the bench, then walk across the bench, work on it on this side, similar to this. So if I'm working on the project here, and now I need to get to this side, the bench is so massive, I can't reach it from this side or that side. So you would have to go like that, then walk all the way around here or around the other way, work on this side. When you were done working on this side, you'd have to go and then walk back around.
So
obviously all that walking didn't work.
What is the width of this bench?
It's 3 feet.
So it's half the size of your other bench.
Yep. The vise is hidden under here. I put a new vise on. I got rid of that little metal one I had. I put a new one under here.
And what about that 3 foot size? How does that work? Is it a optimal size for a bench?
For me, it is. I mean, everybody's got their own opinions, but for me, I'm short, so that's about how far I could reach. That was my rationale for it. Nothing gets off of this bench that I can't reach without a little lean. Now, somebody with a little bit longer arms, maybe 3.5 feet would be good, but I'm only 5'6", 5 foot nothing. So
I also like that you put storage under it. Nothing's wasted.
Yep. There's storage on both sides. They match. I did not put runners on. I didn't get real fancy with that. All I wanted was some place to store things, and it does work good. It took everything that used to be. That's another thing. I had all my tools on that French cleat wall as well as that. I took everything that was on that wall and I got it in here. Those tools, again for efficiency, are the tools that I use over and over again. Those very few nail guns, those chisels, power planer, that Rockwell saw, the biscuit joiner, and that big green saw over there. What do they call those things? Hitachis? So that's all tools that I use. I took the tools that were on that shelf that I do not use off of it, and they're in that cabinet over there. For an efficiency standpoint, there's no point in having those tools hanging all over your walls, getting covered in dust, for no reason other than to make it look cool in here. I'm not about looking cool, I'm about efficiency and getting the job done. My outfeed table is OSB. You can knock that if you want to, but that's one sheet. Cost me $10 to make an outfeed table that works.
Did you buy that in 1980 for 10 bucks?
But, and again, you know, it's a little tight passing between the rocket stove and certain things, but for the sake of efficiency, I don't plan on walking through here 100 times. I have everything right here within this much reach. As you can see, I can get to everything with just about 0 steps.
Most oftentimes, you don't have somebody out here helping you make a project either.
Nope.
And it is definitely much easier to do stuff by yourself when it's close.
Now, I do have the bandsaw over there, and I do have the miter saw and the joiner behind Dana. Again, those tools are used for specific things. This piece of oak, for example, was 1 inch thick. I went over there and I resawed it down. That's one process that I'm not doing over and over and over again. So put the saw over there out of the way, make the cut, then come over here and use the things to finish the job with. It's just trying to think of ways that I can reduce the number of steps, because I do have a full-time job. So I have a limited amount of time to get projects done in. Back when I was doing 1 project a week, it was a killer, man. I was working 8, 9 o'clock every night trying to get 1 project done a week and film it and all that stuff, and it's just gotten too much. So, but yeah, we're getting there, and we're making continued improvements as we go. I have my pipe clamps hanging here in this little keeper thing. They're down right now. I see that's a mess. People are gonna be like, why is that such a mess? These are normally hanging right here behind this keeper, so they don't hit me in the head, so I know where they are. But I just got finished gluing up a tabletop for my wife's hutch that she is going to have in her house soon. So that, in a long, drawn-out explanation, is what we've done in here so far.
Cool. I think it looks good.
Yep.
And, a shop generally is a work in progress. Mm-hmm. If we were robots, we'd be able to think of all these things like in 1 minute and write them all down. But over the time that we're out here, we come up with different ideas. And absolutely. I think you've done a great job out here. And yes, it's messy, but, they used to say that about a desk. A clean desk is a sign of a sick mind.
That's right.
So, and nobody's getting any work done if it's too clean.
That's right. That's right. If you concentrate,
good job, Vern.
Thank you. If you concentrate too much on keeping everything neat and tidy, the efficiency goes in the toilet. Mm-hmm. Yes, you have to be clean. When you get done, clean up, pick things up, put things away. But there's a breaking point, in my opinion, between being too efficient, too worried about being clean, too worried about being picked up, and getting something done. So now, another example, you don't want metal tools all over your bench and then have your planes laying on the bench, because obviously these are cutting tools. You don't do that. So when it comes to that level of keeping things neat and tidy, yes, make sure you're not putting a minimal amount of attention on it and it's causing more problems. There is definitely a breaking point between
everything has its place.
That's right. And like you said, you don't think of it overnight. I had this saw facing that way since this building was built 7, 8, 9 years ago. And I just happened to watch, it was Neil Paskin from Past Makes. He was making a ship's wheel. And I just, like a light bulb went off, I'm like, look how quick he gets from one side of that bench to the other. And here I am making trips around the world to get to my saw. Mm-hmm. Crazy. So the little things that you pick up just make a world of difference. This has made it so much better. So that's, in a nutshell, what's going on there.
Cool beans. What the world? Vern.
I know you're going to ask me, why are these holes in here? It's for small trim and dowels.
That is a heck of an idea. How many times have we put wood brackets, made our own brackets, and put it on the wall and stored wood
on top of it with nowhere to put anything
and
small.
All this is wasted space.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That is a great idea. A few
idea.
more holes down here, smaller ones, but I'm just trying to utilize space.
And the plywood that you use for the bracket is definitely stable enough to hold that weight. I mean, you have Amish overloaded it a little bit, but...
Shitty dog hide, yeah.